Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about Holy Week. Now, Holy Week is the final week of Lent. It's the week leading up to Easter. Some people think of Holy Week as separate from Lent. I think of it as the most important part of Lent. Now, during Lent, we primarily go on this journey and we go through all these changes. Holy Week, I feel, is kind of maybe the climactic point of the journey, but I think overall I've kind of really gone on sort of all these changes leading up to Holy Week. And for me, I've kind of, this year, for Lent, and last year during Lent was kind of when I really fully embraced pantheism. Now I've kind of been sort of moving away from pantheism and to me, my spiritual perspective or religious perspective has become less and less about how I perceive things, but more how I behave towards others. And I've kind of, I can't say I've gone back to the conventional theism. I also kind of have really thought about that, and I'm not sure if there really can be something called conventional theism. I mean, there are so many different understandings, but anyway, I could talk about that in another video. Anyway, to me, Holy Week is now the stories that are read during Holy Week. The Bible readings are, or at least the Gospel readings are, the crucifixion, the end of Jesus' life. Passion Sunday or Palm Sunday, the first day of Holy Week. We start reading about Jesus' triumphant procession into Jerusalem. Yeah, hopefully I'm getting that right. Brain fart. Maybe. And then we have kind of a basic, kind of the usual outline, sort of. During Holy Week, we have a really long Gospel reading. We read basically starting at the Last Supper and read basically the Passion narrative of Jesus leading up to the crucifixion and leading up to his death and leading up to, not the resurrection. Don't want to think about it right now. It's Holy Week, it's Lent, not Easter. I'm going to try to get my mind away from Easter. But Holy Week is, it's where we read about that. The first Sunday, the first day of Holy Week, we read basically the entire crucifixion narrative up until like the soldiers closing the tomb and all that. And yeah, there's basically Palm Sunday or Passion Sunday. Either term is fine. There's then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday where there are maybe noon prayer services, but nothing really that big. Then there's Maundy, Thursday. A lot of the times we wash our feet then. We read about Jesus and the foot washing in the Gospel of John. Then Good Friday, we do another crucifixion reading, but it's from the Gospel of John. And I should maybe take time to talk about that. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the Synoptic Gospels, or I should really say Mark, Matthew, and Luke. Okay, but anyway, in those three Gospels, in Mark and Matthew, when Jesus is crucified, he suffers and he shouts, my God, you have forsaken me." In Luke, it's a little bit more optimistic. He converses with a couple of people and says, "I'll see you soon in paradise," and then he says, "Father, forgive these people, for they know not what they do." So it's more optimistic, but the description is still fairly dark in comparison to John, where in John he's in full control. He says, "Do what must be done, do this, do that." And then when he's on the cross, he says, "It is finished." And so it's much more, the cross is much more looked upon in a much more optimistic way in John than in the other three. But I mean, I think overall, all four Gospels think of the crucifixion narrative as sort of something that was to happen. And I've heard stories about on Passion Sunday services where in the medieval times Christians would walk out just so angry at the Jews, and although I don't think of it in that way, I think most Christians that I know of today don't. We also have, like last year, members of the congregation all signed a Passover card for a Jewish man who has regularly come in to give lectures about different passages of the Jewish scriptures, which Christians usually refer to, unfortunately, as the Old Testament. But anyway, where was I? Okay, now, Holy Week, I've kind of talked about how it's kind of part of the Lenten Journey and kind of the climactic point. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to comment on about Holy Week is it's also where, maybe during Lent, I've fallen away from some of the things I committed myself to doing. I've stopped doing them, or I've found loopholes. And, I mean, Holy Week is, for me, I have primarily been pretty committed. But Holy Week is where I come and say, okay, no more loopholes, let's do this one more week, let's try to really commit myself. And Holy Week really is, it is partially part of the reflection on my Lenten journey, but Holy Week is also very much it's very dark, it's the climactic point, and it's the big time. It's also, I guess, the most somber time in some ways. But to me, it's very special. I mean, I think it's a time to be embraced, and it's one of the things I like about Christianity, though, is it's not entirely optimistic. There very much is this pessimism to it. I mean, it's based off of suffering and dying, and to me, Christianity has become, I might have already said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm making multiple takes and I didn't completely plan things out. Stupid me. I mean, to me, it's very much, it's become less and less about spiritual perspective. I've kind of, I think I already said this, I've been kind of moving away, sort of moving away from pantheism-ish. And I don't know. But for me, it's become less and less about perspective and more about how I behave towards others, how I interact towards others. And I think, yeah, I talk a lot about that, but I don't really, I haven't really been doing it that much. I think I should really work on actually doing it. And I've learned a lot about forgiveness and being compassionate and loving towards others, and I think it's, yeah, to me I've kind of been reflecting on that and started thinking of my Christian perspective much more as that. I mean, I always say it's about the teachings of Jesus, but I haven't been the best at actually doing. I think there's also a lot of symbolism and a lot of other stuff in sort of spiritual perspective, yes. But, yeah. Well, anyway, that's kind of what Holy Week kind of is for me. And it ends on Holy Saturday, and then there's the Easter Vigil, and then Easter, which I'm trying to keep myself from thinking about, but as of the making of this video, I am going to make my Easter video a week from today, and I will Yeah, I could make a video right after the Easter Vigil, but I'll be too bouncy during that. I'll be just bouncing off the walls. I think Easter Sunday I'll be a little bit more calm. So, but anyway, thank you for watching. Shalom. Me too.